pulled my car once, like flat. Stand
Chris, you're
you.
breaking up, but we are live. We are live, everybody.
We're live.
Wow. What a Friday. I think Chris is frozen. Chris is frozen. Chris, well, I'll just do a little introduction as Chris tries to unfreeze. I think Chris is frozen. Oh, I'm getting a feedback. A loop now. Hold on. Chris, well,
We lost Chris.
We lost Chris, but
he's frozen in the south of France. He's frozen in the south of France.
All right, we're gonna go. It's gonna go in and out from France to there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here we go. So here we are. The topic today, and two great guests. I mean, Chris Holmes, all the way in France, former guitarist of Wasp and current singer of Queensryche, Todd LaTorre. So you have somebody who was in a band that is still continuing, and you have somebody who's continuing a band. Right. If you catch my drift.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that sort of
original member, not original member.
Yes, or you could put it that way. All right. So the question is, where do you draw the line? Band versus brand. Which bands can get away with continuing? Which bands can't get away with continuing? And what we're going to do is we're going to go around the table one time. Alan, I'll start off with you.
With me.
I'll start off with you.
We should always do our guests first, Jim.
Okay, well,
it'd be a nice host.
Todd LaTorre, should bands continue without any or few original members?
I hate being boxed into a black and white yes or no. I think yes, but there's a lot of caveats to my answer. I don't know if you want me to get into that or just.
Okay. Well, you got a minute, so get into as much as you can.
It's going to be a 30-minute explanation, of course.
Here's what I think. I think that, you have different circumstances if someone's passed away. For example, Cliff Burton from Metallica. Okay, Metallica is not original because of that circumstance. You have Crimson Glory that I was also in. Midnight passed away, and I sang for Crimson Glory. You have members that just don't want to do it anymore. They're just burned out from the road, or for whatever it is, they don't want to do it anymore. Should the whole band or the brand or the label just die and you just have the past with that original lineup, or do you have other original members that recruit someone new, even if it's one member, or you have one, and you have all the original guys, or you have only one original member? A lot of that boils down to the audience. And sometimes the songs are bigger than any individual, right? Again, I can champion both sides very well, and I understand both sides. But I do think that there are many circumstances where I think, yes, you can have a band go out without all original members, or maybe a few, and then we can get in later in the conversation.
Yeah. These are your opening statements.
My opening statement.
Okay. So, Chris Holmes, all the way in France. Should bands continue without any or a few original members? What is your opening statement, sir? I hope you're not. Have you unfrozen?
If the fans are going to pay for it, might as well, let them take the money and do it. If they're going to go see it, if they don't like it, they won't, I saw Foreigner about 3 years ago, wasn't one original member. The songs are so damn effing good that it didn't matter. The songs that they did, Foreigner, that they wrote were so damn good, it didn't matter. And the guys up there playing them, they weren't sampling, but they were good. I know a few of the guys. That's a judgment call, but if the fans pay for it, more power to them. I mean, whether a member dies or not. Foreigner, at the end, the original guy came out and played, and I just looked at him. I was like, holy shit, man, I wonder they have these younger guys doing it, because you get too old to do it,
All right. Alan, opening statement, Alan.
You got 1 minute.
Alan, where are you, man? Did I lose you or something, Alan? I think Alan can hear us.
Alan's frozen. He's like the cardboard cutout.
Where is he? Where'd he go?
Usually my freeze up, man. I'm
What the
coming
heck's going on here? Alan, you can't
on.
even hear us. What's going on? Everything's gone to hell today.
Can you hear us? Tick, 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 tick.
Well, okay, then I'll throw this out as we wait for Alan to reconnect in Montreal, Canada. You can look at it 3 classifications here. You have founding members, right? You have classic members, and then you have hired guns, right? And it plays all a role into this, right?
Right.
Can the hired guns take a brand and continue on? And maybe that's to Chris's point on Foreigner, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're hired guns in a sense. They haven't actually had really not much creativity creating new Foreigner songs. All there really is a tribute band. So Chris, what do you think?
I enjoyed it, Foreigner, but I love the songs. The songs are so damn good, it doesn't matter. You know, the songs that they wrote were just impeccable. It's, you know, it brought back, it makes you feel, good back in your hired guns are a different situation, you know. It's if people will pay for it, more power to them, you know.
All right, but I mean, shouldn't they be called Foreigner tribute? Like they have bands that go out there, like Pink Floyd, Australia's Pink Floyd. Oh, here comes Alan. Nope, I don't know what is going on.
I'll tell you the difference for me, Jimmy.
Yeah.
If you are okay, so for example, you have Foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
You have Foreigner as an organization and a camp, right? And then you have a Foreigner tribute band. Now, let's say both versions have no original members. In that context, what's the difference? Well, for me, the difference is when you were brought into the organization by an original member, you are part of that organization under that brand with the real backdrop flying. To me, that's kind of the difference is you say, hey, I was in the band, Foreigner had Mick Jones playing, and then it became fewer gigs and whatever, to the point where now I guess he just doesn't play with them anymore. But I think when you have an original member or members bring in someone from the outside in within the organization under that structure, you are a band member. And unless, again, if you're a hired gun, but still under the umbrella of that brand, that's to me what separates a band with 2 bands with no original members and one being a tribute and one not, is look, you were brought in, because you can have some members that have joined that have been in the band longer than an original member has.
Well, okay, Alan, since you dropped off there and you took off, but
yeah, the
maybe
internet
you want
just,
to
tell
us what you think, Alan. We can get your chance.
I got logged off just after Chris spoke, and I agree with Chris that the fans are willing to pay. My 1-minute summary here is that the fans are willing to pay. Nobody, if you don't like it, if you think it's a cover band, don't bother showing up. It's your money. You can do what you want with. But if people are showing up, they have the right to keep performing. Where it gets a bit iffy is when there's no band members left, and they're going out under that same band name. Now, is my minute up, or I can keep going?
Go ahead.
I think a great example of that is when they revived the Thin Lizzy that became Black Star Riders. I mean, they realized that the younger generation never even heard of the band Thin Lizzy with all their great music that they've done, and they kind of said, hey, this is one way of keeping that music alive and going well. They were able to get a few of the band members in, like Scott Gorham, and then for a time Brian Downey and Darren Wharton. But they took the spirit of Lizzy and they made it something new in Black Star Riders. And the farther they go along, the less they get into the away from the Thin Lizzy sound. So I think that's another way to do it as well. Try to just keep their main focus is just keeping the music alive.
All right. So what about tricking consumers? Right. So I go see Wasp. Blackie Lawless comes to town, and I see Chris Holmes on a poster, but he's not playing there. Has that ever happened, Chris? Do promoters put posters?
I've had my buddy TJ played in Nitro. He said he goes, Chris, he's in Chicago. He goes, I saw your name right on the billboard out front. He says, I went around backstage at soundcheck. I walked in, asked where you were, and he says, I got a fist in my face from some roadie and thrown right out. But they do that to make money, you know.
Yeah, that's happened.
Has that ever happened? Now, Todd, have you ever seen a poster with Jeff Tate?
Hold on, I'll do you one better.
Okay.
I'll do you one. I got the trifecta. we've had shows when all this shit was going down. We've had shows where it was not only Jeff on the poster, but it was Chris DeGarmo. It was the original lineup of Queensryche. And I thought to myself, how careless and sloppy can this promoter be? I mean, it's not even like, we'll squeak one. It was just so out of context and just not with reality, up with the times. So we've had that. The second one is Jeff Tate's had shows with me on the poster and not him. And then we've had shows where, you know, Scott hasn't been playing with us for 4 years and there's pictures of Scott. For me, it's very careless. I'm sure that they'll play dumb, but I agree with Chris. There is the optics of what Chris provides on that poster, and the people that know Wasp, they remember those old days, and it taps into their psyche, in my opinion, and it probably helps to sell tickets. But I think that when you get into trickery, that's fucked up, because I think that there is some malice behind the scenes going on. Then there are just dumbasses that just don't care about their job, that just find any band picture on Google and make an ad mat out of it. I think you have all of those scenarios happening.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's trickery. That's sort of like taking it to another level.
Yeah.
Right? That's not. And I'm sure Wasp has done that, Chris. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Chris.
I'm sure every
pictures.
band in that situation that happens to.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They also I heard somebody tell me in Leon that after the show, the promoter, they paid the band up front, half up front, I think right before the show, Blackie wanted to get paid and the promoter wouldn't pay him, and then said that they're going to break his legs if he didn't play, blah, blah, blah. He played. And then after the promoter went, you're sampling. You're not doing it. And if you read the contract, it's supposed to be a real show, and they didn't pay him.
So they sampled your guitar? Is that what you're saying?
No, the vocals.
Oh, the vocals.
Yeah. The backgrounds and stuff, you know, and all the sampling stuff. So that's, I don't know. It's, you know, it's tricking people.
And this is a band that me and Alan sort of like had a lot of interviews with, Quiet Riot, right, Alan? I mean, you know, first of all, Randy Rhoads' version is not even, that was the original version, right? And then they come out with Metal Health, which is Frankie, God rest his soul, Frankie, you know. And now there's Frankie died. And Chris, you know Frankie, and Todd, you know Frankie, and me and Alan have been talking to Frankie. He's gone now, and the band is still going on.
But what if it was Frankie's blessing to say, listen,
how does that change anything?
Well, hold on.
That's what Riot did, right? They got the blessing, right?
Well, let me ask you this. If he didn't die and he just says, I'm retiring, my body can't play drums like this anymore, I want to pass the torch, keep the spirit of Quiet Riot alive and well, and the guys that are on the stage are the same guys that are on the stage that toured with Frankie Banal, with me in the band, the whole thing. But if he says, I just physically can't do it anymore, do you let Quiet Riot die because somebody can't do that? So again, I think we have to be mindful and sensitive. Some people could say, in just the spirit of what Frankie Banali wanted, we want to do this for him and the music. Not that they're claiming they are Quiet Riot, but look, we were in the band with a founding member. He was sick before he passed.
No, he's not a founding member. He was a classic member. There's a difference, right? He was a classic.
I didn't know that.
Founding member would be Randy Rhoads, Kevin Dubrow, right? And Chris.
He was part of the original
Who
lineup.
knows Kevin, right? He was Frankie when the band became popular on the third album. He was part of the classic, right?
Was
And
he
even
the original drummer?
No,
Oh,
it was
okay, I
Drew
didn't know that.
Forsyth. And
I didn't
Chris
know
have frozen now. Now we got Chris freezing here.
Am I unfrozen?
Yeah, you're
Chris,
good,
you knew Kevin Dubrow, you knew Randy, and you knew
I knew Kevin well.
Yeah, you knew Kevin well. He was without Kevin, there's no
It'd be like Wasp going out without Blackie. That just ain't gonna happen because you have to have that voice. Quiet Riot. Man, Shortino didn't work. That's like, hey, Ozzy. If somebody went out and tried to do Ozzy Osbourne without Ozzy Osbourne, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
But what about Black Sabbath?
But Black Sabbath is built around Iommi's guitar. Most of that music is, Black Sabbath without ain't gonna work.
With Black Sabbath without Tony Iommi, right? Black Sabbath with Tony, would it work? Like, let's say, I don't know, name me a guitarist who wants to take over.
Okay, Whitesnake. Whitesnake without John
David
Smith.
Coverdale. No, what about Whitesnake without David Coverdale?
I don't see that happening.
That's a Quiet Riot right there.
That's a tough. See what I'm saying? They're case by case.
Well, okay. Well, what defines that case?
The fucking market.
Yeah.
No, but what? Okay, so my son went to see Kiss. Alan knows this story. My son went to see Kiss recently, the last tour, whatever it was. He didn't know who Ace really was. He didn't know who Peter Criss was. He just knew that there was a spaceman and a cat. Right? That's all he really cared about. And he had a great time. And he had a great time, like you with Foreigner. He had a great time. And I'm telling him, well, I'm not going. I told him I'm not going. If Ace is not there, I'm not going. Like, I'm a purist.
But if you take the purist mentality, you're going to be stuck with like 4 bands.
Yeah. Exactly. Not everybody's the Beatles, exactly.
No,
but if you go down the line and you think original members,
Rush.
Dude.
Not even.
Okay. But I'm saying if you take like, Anthrax, nope. Megadeth, nope. Metallica, nope. Iron Maiden, AC/DC. Dude, there's just a million bands where if you said no original or not all the original, if you're a purist, not all the original members.
Well, okay, I'm a quasi-purist. I'm a quasi-purist. I mean, I'm a quasi-purist. There's to me, the music at the end of the day, like I look at Queensrÿche, I follow the band because there's the spirit of the music continues and it evolves and it morphs. So that's why. And I think that's what it comes down to. I listen to Quiet Riot music. I don't know. There's nothing there. There's nothing of substance.
I want to just go back to what Todd said too. It's the connection with the audience. Okay. Van Halen 5150 tour, Sammy Hagar's first tour with the band. They wanted somebody to open to get the crowd going. James Brown said no, and they went and got BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive. So they called themselves BTO. Fred Turner, great vocalist, couldn't make it. It wasn't part of the schedule. So the promoter says, "Who sang? You ain't seen nothing yet." Randy Bachman says, "I did." Who sang "Hey You"? Randy Bachman says, "I did." So who says taking care of business? I did. Okay, what's the problem? Right? Because that's what the fans are going to relate to, those 3 or 4 biggest hits, and he happened to sing them. So they're like, this is good enough for us, guys. And they went out and they got an extension on that tour. Van Halen was very happy with the job they were doing. And if you're a purist, Jim, I mean, there was Randy Bachman, I think his brother played the rhythm guitar, and there was the drummer from the Guess Who. So there was one guy was part of the band. You know what I mean?
I got a question for you when you're done.
I'm done.
And that's how you do it. No, I'm kidding. Here's a question for you. So you take a band like Aerosmith, all right? If Steven Tyler said, I don't want to do, for whatever reason, he leaves. And Aerosmith, the band, wants to continue, and they get another singer.
That's a good one.
Whether or not the fans would embrace it, Jimmy, being the quasi-purist, do you have an issue with?
Yeah, I do. I do.
So
I have an issue with Wasp. I have an issue with Wasp that Chris is not the guitarist anymore.
Hold on. What if Steven Tyler had vocal damage and couldn't sing anymore.
Hang it up.
And he said, hold on. And he says, I got a guy that I personally want to do the gig.
I don't think that's enough.
So even the original guy's endorsement due to a physical impairment isn't enough for you.
No.
Wow.
What about
Chris,
if he died? What about if
Chris,
he died?
Chris, in your opinion.
Yeah,
What about if he died?
Well, look, Rush is the perfect example. Rush is it should not continue.
AC/DC did it.
Yeah.
AC/DC did it.
So you would have stopped listening in 1980, Jimmy, is what you're saying, AC/DC.
No, I'm saying Rush.
No, that's what you're saying.
Or Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden was, hey, when it came to no prayer for
I'm
the
a
dying,
quasi purist. For example, I think Chris and Blackie are integral parts of Wasp. Now it's just a solo project. Chris, there's something about Blackie and Chris that makes Wasp. And once you take that away,
listen, the last shows I did with him, we had a brand new engineer. I think it was the one before the Sting. We had brought a new engineer, and I'm sitting on stage waiting to check, blah, blah, blah. And the guy goes, Blackie, I need to hear your voice by itself, right? And went by with his voice, and then I took the roadie guy, goes, God, that sounds exactly like my guitar.
I think you broke up, Chris. You're breaking up.
Did I locked up, huh? I'm locking up. This internet shit. This is 2020, 21, and it's still bullshit, the internet. What are we getting at?
Okay, so you were one of the last shows you were doing. You were on stage. You had a new engineer.
Still locked up. Are we going?
Yeah,
we're going, my friend.
We're going.
Yeah. And I heard Blackie go up to the mic and scream his voice. And I turned around the road and went, fuck, that sounds just like my guitar. So his voice, it matched with my guitar. It was good, you know.
Yeah. I think it'd be a better punchline if you weren't breaking up.
And no, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Hawking.
You take Michael, you take Shanker out of UFO, and it ain't UFO anymore.
I agree with that.
I don't care who they bring in, how good the guy is. It just ain't UFO. The melodies aren't there. The melodies, whatever Shanker does to it, just ain't there. You know, but UFO still tours and plays.
Yeah.
So just for conversational sake, if Chris and Blackie played together again under the banner Wasp, is that considered Wasp to you?
Yes.
It is.
I guess if the members are integral parts of the songwriting,
yeah,
and they could create
right
that vibe or music, then yes, it works.
Right.
I think Wasp is, yeah. I do like the new Wasp stuff, but there was a lot of bad albums without Chris. There was a lot of bad albums. And the last two were okay. But I think it's missing that
Jim,
piece.
Wasp is going to sell more albums than just some Blackie Lawless, right? We know Wasp is a brand, right? That's why they keep the names. And Motorhead was Lemmy. Wasp is Blackie these days. You know, that's why Tony Iommi did a Black Sabbath album, the Seventh Star. That was a solo album, but they had to call it Black Sabbath, right? Because it would sell more than Tony Iommi.
Now to Todd. Now, Todd, if Motorhead went out without Lemmy, is it Motorhead?
No.
In my opinion, no.
No.
Well, that's my Steven Tyler example right there.
That's why I'm saying it's a case-by-case basis. There's some things. Like, you know, could you say Motley Crue is Motley Crue without Tommy Lee? He was a big face in that band. But when you've got those guys up front,
but they did have a drummer, Randy Castillo played with them for a while.
Yeah,
right. But if you take the drummer out of the mix with Rush, he was such an integral. But he was a lyricist, and he did more than just play. I mean, even though he was amazing, but. Again, it's that case-by-case basis. And I think, like, look, in my position, you know, I'm not Jeff Tate. I don't want to be him. I'm never going to be the original guy. When people see the band, I mean, I've had people get into an elevator and be like, "Oh my God, I just saw you on stage," and when I said, "Yeah," and they've said, "Wow, I saw you guys in 1988, and your voice still sounds the same." And I looked at the lady and I went, in '88, I don't know if my left nut dropped, but I said, thank you.
Blaze
Thank
Bailey.
you very much.
Blaze Bailey told us that when you played Brazil back when he was in the band of Iron Maiden, a lot of people thought he was Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, come on!
I'm telling you, because it's a big
they got
stadium.
They got a lot of SD in that country, then, man.
Well, it's a large stadium. The band's far away. That you kind of had the same hairdo and look.
But Jimmy, I think your attitude's a little selfish, and I'll explain why. When we talk Iron Maiden, we'll probably talk about the Paul Di'Anno of Bruce Dickinson's years, but our children, they know Blaze's era first. So for us to sit back and say, "Oh, that doesn't count. That's not really Maiden. That's not really their initial band." Well, for some people, it is. It's just like you were saying, or for Todd, going back to Todd's point, he sounded the same in '88. It wasn't him. Yeah, but that's how this lady, or Queensryche now. That's a lot of fans are being exposed to Queensryche with Todd's era versus Jeff's era.
All right. So Dave Evans, the original singer of AC/DC, is he considered who he sang on 3 songs, maybe, if anything, before Bon Scott? I mean, is he considered a founding member?
Nobody. He wasn't there when they made it. Nobody.
Yeah, it's like when you're in the band before the band has made a legit record. It's like, yeah, you were part of those formative times before the band ever took off or did anything substantial, because then you could just say, "Oh, I played with those guys." I played with those guys. I was a bass player when they were floating through different musicians before they really had their shit together. But the point about what I was saying is, I'm not an original guy. I would never claim, I'm not part of those legendary albums that people love. However, I do sing those songs every night, and we create new records. We don't just rest on the laurels of the past. So in my situation, again, and I mentioned this to you before, at some point, I'm in the band 9 years, going on record number 4.
Wow.
At some point, I will have been in the band longer than DeGarmo was. I will be, so my point is, Bruce Dickinson has been in Iron Maiden longer than Paul Di'Anno. And there at some point, but then again, there are those profound records in a short period of time that were so impacting to that band and music that original guy who might have only been there for 2 records is who everyone hails as
there's no right or wrong here.
Exactly. But, again, going back to being recruited into, let's say that Chris.
Now you froze. Jeez, everybody's freezing. There we go.
I'm froze?
Not anymore. You're good.
I'm frozen?
You're good.
Okay.
We're all having our turns.
So let's say, can you say that Blackie and Wasp, Wasp couldn't go on without Blackie, even if all the original members were together, but Blackie wasn't around?
I'll take it one further. I know this is to Chris. Could Chris go on as Wasp? Let's say Blackie, he wants to call it quits, his voice or whatever. Can you go on as Wasp? Do you think it'd be legit?
If I could find somebody that sang that was close to what he sang like, I could.
I think so.
Would the fans accept it?
Again,
would the fans accept Chris Holmes as Wasp?
I think there are a lot that would, especially if you had a singer that sounded like that in that spirit, because those fans that love Chris want to see that backdrop behind him.
And I hate to tell you this, but a lot of the Wasp songs, a lot of the songs were written around the crappy way I play. You know, the horrible way that I play, they're written around that way. You know, that's the way it is. I play it certain way. I play a certain way, you know?
Yeah. Well, look, answering your question, Jimmy, I think that if Blackie called it quits, and we're not going to get into legalities of who owns the name because I don't give a shit and I don't want to go there. But if Chris could fly the Wasp banner behind him, if Blackie retired or something bad happened and he couldn't do it anymore for whatever reason, and he wanted to, and it's either that or
wait a second. Okay, how about this? Okay,
or it does,
Chris,
hold on.
Steve Riley now wants to go out as Wasp.
That'd be stupid.
Again, see, that's those things where the guys in the front, those are the face, those are the drummers in the back. Nothing against drummers. I'm a drummer.
Okay, but Randy Piper's Wasp.
He had Randy Piper's Animal.
But what about Randy Piper's Wasp? He goes out as Wasp. I'm Wasp. He somehow acquires the name and he goes out as Wasp.
I hate to tell you, but if Randy did, they'd throw him out of the band in the first week. They'd throw him out. That's what happened with Where Angels Suffer, that band. You know what that was? WAS, Where Angels Suffer, P. That's what the idea they had was. It was Wasp with the P broken off. That was Randy's band.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. That's where WAS, Where Angels Suffer. And then that was the logo, and the P was broken off from the ground. That was Randy's band. I was the last one to join it, but they threw him out.
Sorry, Alan, I cut you off. Sorry, Alan.
I've got a more interesting question, I think. Let's say Michael Wilton, God bless him, that he just doesn't want to do it anymore. And Todd says, hey, man, I did 4 albums. I've been in a band 9 years. We know that Scott, like you had mentioned, Scott hasn't played drums in 4 years. And Todd carries on. And now, with the lineup now, with Casey.
That's a good, that's a good
I think
question.
that's, for me, that's a much more interesting question and a little bit where we should be going. Well, where what this topic's about. So
it's a good question because, look, if in 10 years, okay, I will have been in the band almost 20 years at that point, okay? Countless records that I've been, up front and of the singer of the band alongside of those guys for 20 years. And then those guys are now fucking 69, 70 years old, okay? Because they're 59, 60.
Father time.
And they say, dude, I just can't do this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And they say, but you've been the singer of Queensryche for 20 years. You are the face that people have seen for 2 decades. Along with Parker, who's been in at that point 26 years, let's say, or whatever it is.
Okay.
And we were brought in as original members. We were part of the creative process. We're part of business decisions. And those guys said, we don't want to do it, but we are letting you go out as Queensryche. That's a fucking hard one, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking you.
Some people could say, it's that foreigner situation. But in my opinion, you play Queen of the Reich, Eyes of a Stranger, I Don't Believe in Love, blah, blah, blah. We fly that banner. Look, the band has gone through Chris DeGarmo leaving, Jeff Tate leaving, the singer, iconic original singer of Queensryche, gone. And you know what? And Scott hasn't played with us for 4 years. Every night we go out and we play, it's about the songs. And that goes back to what Chris said with Foreigner. Those people here.
Wait, let me tell you something about Foreigner. Me and my wife and I went to see Foreigner like Chris saw Foreigner. And actually, Alan,
you were
there too. Alan was there, I was there, my wife was there, and our friends were there. Everybody was standing up, singing the songs, and I bet you if you surveyed half the people there, they couldn't even name you who's in the band.
Listen, my wife loves Wasp. My wife listens to the old stuff, and I'll come in and she will loop Wasp for literally out, and to the point where I go, can you just,
because she's Greek, that's why,
just play another record?
You still married to
her? And she loves Wasp. And if I said name the members or any members of Wasp, she might go Blackie. I think Blackie
Holmes.
That's it. She doesn't know. She doesn't know band.
It's the guy in the pool, I think. That's what they're gonna say.
Jesus Christ. He's never gonna escape that.
No, he's not. He's not
But you know,
escape.
I just brought it up because like Leonard Skinner in their documentary, there was critics that are trashing them because, you know, they've got one member left in the band.
Who?
Rosington. I think Gary Rosington.
Yeah, Rosington, yeah.
I saw him 2 years ago.
And people are loving them, selling out, you know,
great.
everywhere, right?
There was even somebody in the crowd flying the Confederate flag in the crowd. I was like, whoa, man, you can't do that in America.
Yeah. But again, that goes back to Jimmy. Now you got one guy, you know, and it could be Eddie Jackson in Queensryche. Heaven forbid something happens to Todd, you know, we just got Eddie going out into the
Got to remember Leonard Skinner, this classic because it's the guy's brother that's singing.
That's true
right.
too.
Yeah, but he was
you know what, Chris?
force.
That's a good. You know what?
That's a
People
big point.
let it slide. People let it slide to
'Cause
Alan.
your
Everybody's
family.
point. Family. Jason Bonham of Led Zeppelin. They go. You know, we'll let Led Zeppelin go on with Jason.
Yes.
And Julian Lennon with the Beatles. Everybody was talking back then when Julian was in the '80s, sort of making it big. They go, well, why don't you join with Paul and everybody else? That would have been acceptable. Family is acceptable. That's a great point.
Yeah, and when you're pulling in, okay, for example, we did a tour with the Scorpions, another tour with them. It was like the second tour that we did with them, and Parker couldn't go on the road for that run, and we called Mike Stone.
Yeah.
And Mike
Part of the
Stone,
family.
he was part of the Queensryche camp and played guitar with Queensryche for many years, and we're like, okay, you know. There's no problem with Parker. Like there's no tension. He just has personal things he needs to take care of and he can't go out. We pulled in Mike Stone. Everyone was like, oh, it's Stoney. Holy shit. Cool. Yeah. But we can't wait to see Parker again. But this is cool too, because we like Mike. Okay, great. No big. So yeah, when you have that family connection or part of that camp from, you know, from way back when.
Then people sign off on that. They tend to sign off
do.
on that a lot easier.
They do.
What about Kiss? What about Kiss?
I'm fine with the lineup.
What they're talking now is like they're kind of throwing it out there. You know, Gene and Paul might not be there forever. What if Kiss goes on the road and there's no Paul and there's no Gene? There's just the spaceman, the cat, and the dragon or whatever he is, and the Starman. What if they go out without zero original members? They're just guys they're just putting in makeup. Is that acceptable?
I wouldn't see him. I wouldn't go see him. I wouldn't.
Alan, would you go see them? Well,
I didn't go see them when they were original four, man. But since you brought it up, I will read you because Paul, this is
passage.
so funny. I just literally read this the other night.
And now deep thoughts.
Yeah, deep thoughts with Paul
with
Stanley.
Alan Dixon.
I'm Paul Stanley.
Hold your
Yeah,
head
worst
out of
impression
Gene's
ever.
ass.
You know, I love the idea that the Eagles now is being led by a son of one of the founders and a founder and a bunch of other guys. Take the band, yes. There's not an original member in yes. But do I consider them a cover band? No, because a band that exists over decades evolves through personnel changes and health crisis. So do I consider this to be yes? Absolutely. It didn't change overnight. Members have come and gone. The Eagles are the same way. Timothy Smith is great, but he certainly wasn't in the original band, and nor was Joe Walsh. So again, he's setting this up for when, like you said, Jim, when there's only 4 unknown people dressed up as the original characters of Kiss, right? And that's the way he's going to have a problem because, again, people will pay if they want to see it, and if they don't, they won't go. And then time will tell if it.
But what about the consumer now? Like, shouldn't there be like this is Kiss, and then like maybe like in small print without any original members?
Read the small.
Yeah.
Isn't there? There's a legal thing happening here, right?
You got posters with Chris still on them in Chicago.
You got
You're gonna read
posters
the
of
fine
Jeff
print?
Tate show with Todd.
Hey,
I always tell people I saw Kiss in '75, and still to this day, they were the best concert I've ever seen, and I can't stand the guys.
I saw them one time when they reintroduced the makeup in the 90s. That first go around when they redid that. Anyway, here's something else too, guys. This goes back to my point of if someone was brought in by Gene or, you know, so you've got Thayer, what's his first name?
Yeah,
Tommy Thayer.
Tommy. So he's brought in by the original guys. They played on the same stage together. They were part of KISS. If Gene and Paul retire and assemble a group of guys that never were part of the band with those guys, that to me, that's not KISS anymore. That's not KISS. Now, if you got Tommy, look, they're KISS. And here's another thing. They are also characters with the outfits and the makeup and whatnot. And I'm not giving that a hall pass, but there is another little variable to me that comes into play. For example, you got guys in Slipknot that wear full costumes that play kegs.
Gore
too. Guy, do you even know it? If you replace the Blue Man Group member, does anybody know it?
The Blue Man Group.
No, but I'm saying there is a small piece of, hey, they are playing this role with the outfit.
You know what, Todd, there are exceptions in my world, but I always feel kind of ripped off.
I know.
I come from this world where I want to see a band of brothers or sisters.
I know.
Do what they can, and of course things are going to happen. There might be some lineup changes here and there, and I want to see what they can do.
I know.
Not keep replacing people.
It
happens more in classic rock than it happens in heavy metal.
If I can add to that, Jim, back in the late 80s, you got now Adrian's out of the band in Iron Maiden. Oh, geez, not him too, and then, you could say Chris DeGarmo left Queensryche. It's just there was a period there where people were just you were replacing members left, right, and center. And I got sick of that, quite honestly. And I'm like, no, I'm not buying that record anymore.
Sure.
Because it just seemed at the late 80s, it seemed to hit, like Whitesnake too. And they were always exchanging members, but, they come out with their biggest albums ever and John Sykes leaves. So you're like, plus everybody else in the band. So,
That's a good point. It's interesting because in the 70s, if somebody left the band, it was a big deal. It was in the 80s. It was like, Brian Johnson coming in to replace Bond. It was like, what's he going to do? Deal. What's he going to do? It was a big thing, changing one member. Now it's like,
exactly.
Now it's changing your socks. Yeah.
Well,
because
and at some point,
big business.
And at some point, maybe there should just be some reservation and integrity. I don't know if humility is the right word, but integrity,
moral
restraint to just say, you know what? We're a whole other group of guys that were never in the band KISS with Paul, with Gene. We were an assembled group going out under this banner. To me, that's not KISS. That's bullshit. That's just fucking business. And now you're talking about two different things. You're talking about, the personal connection, which gets split off because sometimes it's all about the songs and the music. And other times you say, yeah, but it's that person too, that has that charisma, that has that certain stage presence, that has that articulation of how they play the guitar a certain way that makes them special in that way. And so,
I always admired Led Zeppelin, Todd.
That's called rock and roll vibe.
It's true.
Right.
It's true.
That's called rock and roll vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anyway, you were saying, Jimmy, go ahead.
I always admired Led Zeppelin. There was some sort of moral integrity,
Yeah.
The drummer dies and they go, that's it. And, with the exception of that one or two shows that they did, they said, that's it. We're not going on without our brother.
Can I throw in a variable here?
Sure.
They were fucking on top of the world, dude. And I'm sure that they're set pretty well. Everybody else has to get out there and work. And when a big factor of that guarantee lies in the brand, believe me, they're not going to just go, wow, we'll start from scratch. That's a hard pill to swallow when you have remaining members that's their life's work. And now they're supposed to just call it quits because one guy's gone.
Who did?
Chris, your friend Eddie Van Halen, could Van Halen move on without Eddie Van Halen?
No.
N-O.
Big N-O.
What if Wolfie took his place?
If who?
Wolfie, his son.
You can't replace Ed. You can't replace the guy. He is irreplaceable. There's thousands of people that can play like him, whatever.
But there's only one of him.
The guy's irreplaceable. You can't. There's nobody. There'll be nobody on this planet to ever play like he does. Come on, please.
What if they pulled off a Foreigner thing where they have Alex Van Halen, David Lee Roth,
It ain't gonna work.
Wolfie,
It ain't gonna work.
and Michael Anthony? Is
You
that
think
not
we-
enough?
Because the last few times I went and saw Van Halen, I went once where it was the whole crowd at the Staples Center, where it was. I mean, usually I don't go to their parties, right before the show. But I went to the Staples Center, and people in that crowd came to see Ed play guitar.
Oh yeah.
They
I
did.
remember seeing Van Halen.
They came to see him play guitar. Okay?
Well, it's like-
And it didn't matter about Hager singing or whatever, blah blah blah. They came to see Ed play guitar.
So when Randy Rhoads passed away, and you had another guitar player come in,
Jake,
right? So
Yeah.
Jakey Lee comes in. Did Randy Rhoads have enough of a profound or a parallel impact to the Ozzy thing as Eddie Van Halen did to Van Halen?
That's a tough one because
No,
he didn't have enough
because
time. He didn't have enough time.
well, it's because Ozzy is Ozzy. He's the singer.
Okay.
Van Halen is the singer. There's only one Van Halen, and he's gone.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting people are saying, "Oh, Jimmy, you're
Well,
stirring
if
it up
you-
with Van Halen." I'm not trying to stir it
No,
up. I'm
these are just
asking a question.
examples.
Have you ever seen Ed play? Any of you guys? I mean,
Yeah.
seen him play?
Yeah.
There's only one him. Nobody else can play like that guy.
But
But
what if, what if
what if
Van Halen went out and they just said, "We're just going to play the songs. We're not going to record any music like Foreigner," and people went out to see them? Is it morally right? But people are going. And to Alan's point, well, people want to go see it, so they should see it.
I got a question for you.
Where do you end it? Where does it end?
What if they had recordings from Eddie that never made it on records, and Van Halen wanted to, or let's say they had these solos or recordings of Eddie, because I'm sure he has tons of archived shit that nobody's ever heard, and Van Halen puts out a record with those archived guitar parts. That would be considered Van Halen, right? If they put out a record and used his recordings, that would be Van Halen, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. There would be nothing wrong with
But
that.
live, you couldn't pull that
Ed,
off.
he's gone. I don't think
Yeah.
he'll ever. He's doing a live thing without him. But
All right.
they could do a tribute.
Hologram?
I was
Hologram,
just
perhaps?
going to ask that. I was going to ask Chris, what does he think of the Dio hologram?
No, it's not this live. It's like once Hendrix died, Hendrix is gone.
But if you were never, I've never seen Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
It would be a fun. Now, would I be like, I saw Jimi Hendrix? No, it would be a fun experience to feel like had I been alive when Jimi Hendrix was playing and doing that, this is what I would have experienced. The closest thing I could have experienced to the real thing back then. I think as a novelty experience, that would be cool. But to pass it off as, that's
I think I'm a little curious about the Dio hologram. I think I am a little curious because Dio kind of liked that type of technology, and the guys playing with the hologram are, legit family of Dio. Mm-hmm. I would like to go see it. Am I for it? Probably not, but I still would like to see it because I'm curious. I want to peek in there, see what's going on.
Could Iron Maiden go on again with another singer and not Bruce?
Oh,
No.
boy, that would be
Hey, a while back, I went through every Iron Maiden song from the beginning, from the first album, one consecutively,
Yeah.
and they were okay with Diano. I could understand why Bruce came in, and I am not cutting Blaze Bayley down. I do not want to cut him down. I've met him, but I went through all the albums, and when the two albums that Blaze Bayley did, the songwriting and everything, Bruce adds in. I know he's not original member, but he's like the Iron Maiden guy.
Yeah, the X Factor. Yeah, he's got that special something.
he's a special that makes that thing go. You know, I mean, I listened to every song with Blaze Bailey, and I was like, no.
Hiroshi says, "Can Iron Maiden go?" Okay, sorry, Alan, go ahead.
No, I mean Adrian Smith is a big part of that too, right? That's for me. I hear what Chris is saying, but for me also, their songwriting it was not as strong, and Adrian Smith brings a huge other side to that band.
Oh yeah, Adrian does.
All right, to Chris and to Todd and to Alan, can Iron Maiden go on without Steve Harris?
He's the main songwriter, from what I understand.
Well, no. Apparently, there's a lot of other songwriters in the band.
Where could you find somebody to play bass like that? Nada.
I mean, I think
you can't. You're not gonna find anybody to play bass. That's like Eddie Van Halen. You ain't gonna find anybody to do what Van Halen does. You're not.
What if the band they find somebody? I guess there's no real family with. And Iron Maiden, to be fair, it's only Steve Harris, really. If you want to go from the beginning, right? From the beginning.
You got the Eddie character.
Yeah.
Eddie Dad.
So when does a band call it quit? Like, when does a band say, "Okay, we've had enough. We're retiring the name"?
When the consensus says.
But who's the consensus? Is it the band members? Is it the people? Is
the audience?
Wow, that should have been, a lot of bands should have been, listening to the consensus. But they had even Iron Maiden at one point, there was a consensus that things aren't going well, but they brought it back up, right?
I mean, look, there's tons of people that are like, Jeff's the only voice of Queensryche. You're not, and
Jimmy.
Yes.
Oh, Jimmy.
It's me.
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm sorry to bother you. I just want to say something because Chris is going to forget, and you want to say hi to Fabian.
Why don't you say hi? Why don't you say hi?
Hi,
Fabian. Oh, I can't see your face.
Yeah. Okay. Oh no. Nobody wants to see my face. Okay.
Come on, right for
Okay, what's the announcement?
Mrs. Holmes, let's go.
No, he's a fan of him, and she watched the show, and I wanted to say hi.
Fabienne.
Sarah, why don't you just say hi? Sarah,
Hi.
say hi. There you are. All right.
I think the best thing Led Zeppelin did was quit when Bonzo was gone.
Chris, did you see the Led Zeppelin play? Did you see them live?
Oh yeah. I saw him in 1980, right? There was album with Cashmere on it, whatever, the Physical Graffiti tour.
Right.
It's good. Where they played for 3 hours, didn't have an opening band.
It's Through the Outdoors.
The Who went on without, the Who kept going. It's hard to say. And without Entwistle, whoa, tell me, did Keith Moon and Entwistle weren't a major part of the Who? They were.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
They kept, I don't think they'd play as big as stuff as they do. Would I go see the Who now? Yeah, I would, because I love the song.
Then you have Pink Floyd.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. That's a good one. Four guys, and one wants to leave, and he says, "Well, you can't be Pink Floyd anymore." It's like, well, we're four, and you're leaving, and you want to leave. Why can't we be Pink Floyd? No, I'm going to sue you if you stay Pink Floyd. It's like, yeah, but you're the one that's going, and we're still the majority,
right? I've seen this movie.
Roger Waters, David Gilmour.
That takes some ego.
This is like Chris Holmes and Blackie Lawless, right? It's just Pink Floyd is like, when you have Roger by himself, I have his solo albums. It's great, but it's not Pink Floyd. And when you have David Gilmour doing Pink Floyd, it's okay, but it's not Pink Floyd. But they're going around selling out arenas as Pink Floyd.
Well, that goes back to what Chris said. If people are willing to spend the money and they support that banner and that brand, then they'll go. I mean, it's just
the songs. Like, it goes back to what Todd said too. The songs. People just want to hear the songs. A lot of people, like Todd said, a lot of people don't even care who's playing them.
If you asked me, could Queensryche ever be Queensryche without Jeff Tate, I would have said, hell no.
It's a nice day, Florida. Look at that, huh?
Oh, dude. It's palm trees and sunshine, my friend.
Look at that. Is there any coconuts around there?
No, those are just my palm trees.
You're acting like you live in London, dude.
No, I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I would have said there's no way Queensryche could be Queensryche without Jeff Tate. And
that's back then when after the first few albums came out.
Yeah, but I mean, again,
but then things start.
But we've talked about this too, Jimmy, where, you know, Bruce Dickinson was always on top of his game. There was a period of time where Queensryche didn't sound like the Queensryche that we know and love. And when I finally came into the band, there was a shift to going back to those roots of the band, and I think that also helped. Whereas you've got Iron Maiden, where Bruce Dickinson always sang killer. Rob Halford always sang,
then there's Rob Halford. I'm seeing these comments like fly in. Could Judas Priest go on without Rob Halford? And I mean, they have. I mean, and they've gone back.
Have you heard Firepower?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I have the record. Yeah, it's great.
So they can't. Well, to both guitar, did Tipton play on that? I don't think he did. Did he?
Well, it's because
it's completely different sounding now. It doesn't sound like the old Priest.
What about Skid Row? Here's one where it's just mind-boggling. You have Sebastian Bach.
Well, that's kind of like our situation.
No, it's not, because you guys are doing well. Skid Row really doesn't do that well. I mean, at least not from what I'm seeing, right?
I think they do all right. We've played a bunch of shows with them, and they're doing a new record right now. They got Nick Raskulinis or whatever, who's a big producer. So we'll see. They're putting out a new record. I don't know. It's an interesting topic.
I'm going to throw out this question to everybody. When does it end? When does a band retire? When does a band say, you know what? We've had a great legacy. We're all 79 years old. We're in wheelchairs right now. When do we just leave it to our children? Do they carry on? Is the next 30 years going to be Wasp without Blackie and Chris? Well, Queensryche without Todd? With maybe your son or something taking over? I don't know. What's the next 30 years going to look like?
The thing is when you have like a band versus like a team, because a band is a team, it's teamwork. But you've got famous sports teams like the Yankees or the New England Patriots, and you've got like that winning lineup, right? Those guys are retired, but that jersey is still playing. They're still a team. They're still playing the game. The difference is, and you still have chemistry on a team, like you have chemistry in a band, but there's a personal fingerprint with music, unlike a sporting event, in my opinion. Because I don't know, it's a different thing. It's like a piece of your personality. It's different, in my opinion. But
music is personal. That's the thing. And that's why we're on this show here doing this, because music is very personal. It's not a baseball team. Guys are very stat oriented.
Not a baseball team. Look Brady left, right? The Patriots, and who did he go play for? The Panthers. And who won the Super Bowl?
No, the Bucks.
The Bucks. Milwaukee. Who did he play?
Tampa.
You're in Florida, so you'd know better than me. Yeah. He went to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And who won the Super Bowl?
Tampa Bay.
God damn. That's like Tiger Woods coming back and winning the Masters again. That's that cool, what Brady did.
I do think you do have that level of integrity, though, where you have to be able to say, look, we're just milking the shit out of this, and it's a little ridiculous. Versus, when there's the no members, and it's just like, why can't you? If you guys are really worth your weight in salt, why can't you just? If you were never in the band within, like again, that assembled Kiss or that assembled other band or whatever.
I think Todd in the next. Rolling Stones, by the way, Gabriel just reminded me of Rolling Stones. They're still going, right? I think in the next 20 to 30 years, you're going to see no original members, and bands like Wasp continuing and just grabbing that name. Whoever owns a trademark, just going to keep going on. That's what I think is going to happen.
That goes back to what Todd said. You got to be upfront about it. Yes, the name sells, but at a certain time, you got to look yourself in the mirror. And if you're going out as portraying yourself as a member of a band that you were never a part of, I think first of all, the public's not stupid, so they're not going to necessarily support you. But
well, you know what, Alan? I don't know about that. I think the public is blind, not stupid, but they're blind. They're kind of like, I just want to go out and have a good time. They just want to hear the songs.
Like Todd said, his wife loves Wasp, will listen to it all day long, but has problems even recognizing or even naming one member. A lot of people are like, that's fine. There's no problem.
Todd, it's okay.
Want to hear the song.
Because if I went to see Queensrÿche with my wife, she'd think you were the original singer. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
but it's okay because they want to hear the songs.
Yeah.
Hey Todd, does your wife listen to "Fuck Like a Beast"? I'm just kind of curious.
I'll have to ask her.
That's her favorite song.
I was just kind of curious.
Say hello, Piraktia. Say that. Say Piraktia. That's her name. She'll be tickled.
Piraktia. How you doing?
Yep.
Is she watching today?
I'm sure she's in Greece, right? Yeah,
wow.
I'm sure that she's
oh man, it's
watching.
like 1 o'clock in the morning there now. Oh, it's a good chat, guys.
Yeah, it's an hour before me. It's 1.
Yeah, it's a good chat.
Well, we're not going to resolve this today, but it's a great opinion.
What's she doing with Greece? Has she been there since? When was the last time you seen your wife?
No, she had went and saw her family, some family stuff. Yeah.
Does she have a Canadian name? A U.S. name or a North American name, like Pam or something?
No.
Because look, my real name is Dimitrios, right?
Yeah.
But they called me Jimmy. They just call me Jimmy, right? So that's what I'm saying. They've Canadianized me.
Anayati, Peter.
Petros.
Petros. Yeah, but they don't do that anymore because I find that people like to have more exotic names now. So it's kind of like cool to have a.
Any other comments that are we need to go through?
Oh, so many comments are going right through. I just can't keep up.
This has been very fun and not as
a little chit chat, right?
Not
you know what, Todd? Todd, since we're on topic,
not as much as what, Todd? What were you going to say?
Since we're on topic, there we go. I bet you sell more albums when we don't talk about your album than you do when you talk about them. Because it's always the same questions and answers, right? Me and Alan did an interview today with George Lynch, and you could see he was tired of just answering the same question. So we just went off on all kinds of tangents.
And then plug the record.
Yeah, then plug the record.
We wouldn't even talk about the record. We spent half an hour with him, never talked about the record.
Hey, Chris, I got a question for Chris. What's the situation, off topic, what's the situation like where you're at with lockdowns?
They're locked down. We're locked down again pretty hard. If you're not supposed to go 10 miles from where you live in a round circle anywhere, and if you go somewhere, you're supposed to have a piece of paper that you write out where you're going, what time you come back.
Right.
Because the other day they had 600 and something people die in one day.
Wow.
And with how small the country is, they got a lot, the viruses. Plus they don't have the vaccines in America. They don't have as much, they don't have the vaccines for the people.
In
Same
France?
Same here, by the way. We have the same problem.
I got my shot 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
That's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Which one?
Zeneca, whatever.
AstraZeneca.
Yeah, made me sick.
I hear the Pfizer one has other side effects.
Well, I got sick the next day. I felt like I had the flu.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, but how long did it last, Chris?
Just a day.
Oh,
And one positive thing is I didn't get the runs.
That's always a plus.
My body was aching, every bone creaking. I felt like crap, but I didn't, I wasn't in the bathroom on the toilet. That's the positive thing.
Okay, well, that's a good positive.
We're going to end on that note.
We went from 8 o'clock lockdown curfew to 9:30, and now we're back to 8 o'clock.
We're back to 8 o'clock.
We're at 8 o'clock curfew. Are you guys at a 6 o'clock curfew, Chris, in France?
Yeah. It's 7 o'clock now.
Okay.
It's 7,
And Florida's just like a Wild West right now, right? Right,
It's
Todd?
always been that way.
Bands are touring Florida now.
Dude, listen,
Texas and Florida, they're
Did you
touring.
see the baseball game?
you can go to a strip bar, massage place. You can go see live bands. You can go to the gym, the mall, every restaurants, bars, everything's open. It's the Wild West here. It's nuts.
Are there a lot of cases though, or are there like a lot of people sick in hospitals? I mean,
I haven't looked at the numbers lately, to be honest, because I don't really go out much at all. But a lot of people are getting, like, I'm trying to get the vaccine, and I'm trying to book an appointment.
You can't get it?
and they're fully booked. Everybody's getting vaccinated. And
Have you been vaccinated?
We're doing 16 and older right now.
Wow.
wow, we're still
Have
at
you,
55.
have you gotten vaccinated?
No,
No?
I'm not yet. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't gotten vaccinated.
Oh, wow.
We're suffering for the same thing as see, the US has they're the makers of the vaccine, whereas Canada is the buyer of the vaccine. So, you know, it's a little more trickier. I'm same with France, right? The countries that make it have a lot quicker access, right?
Just do the precautions. You got to, precautions you got to take. Wash your hands and whatever if you go out. And we'll
Chris,
get over it.
what's going on with your tour, Chris, in Canada? Is it postponed? What's going on? Do you have any news?
No, I think they rebooked it for 2022.
Okay. Ask Sarah if I know
Well,
that.
I got shows to come up in November in England,
Okay.
Hard Rock Hill, and in Ireland. I've booked them. I'm going to go over and play those if they let me in.
Just so you know, Todd, Chris has got a documentary out, The Mean Man.
Mean man.
Yeah. Where do I see that? How do I see it?
You're asking the wrong person. Sorry, I don't want to be
Just type Chris Holmes. Just type Chris Holmes documentary. It's all there.
I mean, where is it available for me to ask your wife? Ask your wife where I can.
I think it's on Amazon Prime. You could buy
Is
it.
it? I have
Bandcamp.
Amazon Prime?
Well, I got to look it up here. If somebody who's watching could tell us, it'd be
Because I
great.
have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it's on that. It's on that.
I'll watch it tonight.
Look, Bandcamp.
It just
I'm pretty sure.
A lot of it's just me leaving Moss and coming over here, starting a new life, and showing me traveling in a little car and having just whatever you go through,
Let me ask you a personal question. Does it bother you when people want to talk to you about WASP? Are you just like,
No.
hey, I just want to focus on it doesn't bother you? Okay.
No, I'll give them but I tell them the truth. I tell them the flat truth,
Yeah.
I'll tell them Blackie's got one of the killerest voices in rock and roll. He writes killer lyrics and this and that. And it's, if they ask about my publishing or whatever, I don't talk, I'll tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Tell them the flat truth,
Yeah.
And Todd, you met Jeff Tate, and that was the big thing like last week. And we're just going off on different topics here. I mean, you met Jeff Tate, and he taps you on the shoulder. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Todd. Yeah, I mean, it just happened like that. We don't have to talk about it, but I'm just saying that you came.
I went to the trippiest show in my life once. About 8 years ago. I went down to Florida, the House of Blues, where Orlando, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay, and somebody was like, was trying to go see Queensryche. I go, they were trying to get on the list. I go, you want to get on the list? Call backstage and talk to somebody in the band. Just tell them, let's give my name. And then they go, yeah, Chris, we'd love to see him. So I went down there and Jeff was singing, but they had me sit in a thing called the Queen's Box. Have you ever heard of that?
Really?
No.
Queen's Box.
It's behind the stage, but up in the second floor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And most House of Blues have it. I went there and I sat there. I could hear the guys on stage almost talking because they were all playing with in-ears.
Right.
Correct. Blew my mind. I've never seen anybody play like that. I mean, I was like, wow. The drummer was playing acoustic, but the guitars were all direct, and it was I'm used to playing like on fucking 10.
Yeah, amps.
Oh man, I don't like to play unless I can feel my guitar hit me in the back. But they were doing it. I talked to the guitar player, I forget his name. doing it the way they're doing it, you'll last a little longer in life. You know,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
a trip. It was cool how they did it. I liked it.
Scorpions does that too. They have the coffin cases. They have these cases, you know, where the amps are way off the stage, and that's where you hear they're in ISO boxes that are mic'd up, and
You don't hear the stage sound.
the stage sound I don't think was that loud, but Mickey D, he's still old school, and he plays with, you know, insane PA shit behind him, you know, and but there was a time, you know, when I got into the band where we're all on in-ears and the stage volume was kind of low, and eventually we started turning up because you want to feel that, you want to feel the guitar and the bass and the, you know, you want to feel that. Sometimes you just feel like so kind of isolated when the stage volume isn't like rocking, you know. So we're on in-ears, but we play through Kempers, and so that's what's going out into the house on the stage. It's just like that's not what is coming out of the cabinet. But
I was behind the stage. I could only hear the PA, and it tripped me out.
It's weird. It's all quiet. Yeah.
Well, this is a good chat, guys. I'm happy you guys got to discuss all this. It's a good chat.
In Europe, I played Norway Rock Festival, and I've lost. I have a 100-watt Marshall. It's a stereo. I lost it, so I got a 90-watt Mesa Boogie, and I use it stereo, right? But I'm sound checking, and the guy comes up. Doro was playing when I was sound checking on the other stage. The guy in the PA comes up and asks me to turn down. Blew my mind. I go, dude, we're on the Lemmy stage. And he goes, your guitar's overpowering. I go, you need to get a bigger PA, dude.
All right, everybody. I'm gonna. This is the last question, and I'm gonna ask this out to everybody who's watching. Which bands should retire? We're gonna close off with this. Which
I'm gonna
bands?
close with this.
We're gonna close with which bands
that are concurrent right now. That are playing concurrently, or
yes, we're playing right now. Yes.
My opinion.
Kiss. I hear Kiss. I see Kiss.
Kiss should. They've retired about 5 or 6 times.
Kiss again. Kiss again. None of them.
I don't have an answer.
Come on, Todd, you got something there. What about Quiet Riot?
Oh yeah, they
Kiss
were gone
again.
Ever since Kevin died, Quiet Riot to me is gone.
Yeah, me too. Judas Priest, somebody's saying.
No,
Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Kiss, The Who.
Rob Halford still sings.
No way. I mean, Judas Priest should totally.
Ozzy. What about Ozzy? Should he retire?
No.
No.
Ozzy, no. He's out there still doing it.
Autograph should retire. Autograph should retire. Guys,
around?
what do you think? Autograph, should they retire or not?
I don't
even think they're the
original members.
I didn't know they're still around.
I didn't know either. Rat. Should Rat retire? No, I think Rat, they're still young enough.
Stephen Pierce is still doing it.
Deep Purple. Yes or no?
Ian Gillan's still singing.
Yeah.
He's 72. I think he's like 72, 73 now. I mean, I love Ian Gillan. Rolling Stones again.
And Steve Morris, he plays right as good as Blackmore.
Oh, he's great.
Why are people saying Rolling
Stones? The Stones can't retire. Once the Stones retire, music's over.
That's what they used to say about Lemmy.
Retire, music's over.
Queen. What about Queen? Should Queen retire?
They already did, didn't they?
Don't they go on with what's his face? I can't remember his name.
I don't. When I see that, when I see Queen with Adam, I personally view that as they are memorializing the legacy of Queen. I don't view that as Queen without Freddie Mercury. I see it as they're keeping the spirit of the music alive and performing shows. Yeah, they're using the name, but in my opinion, I view it more as a memorialization and a celebration of the history of the band.
All right. Aerosmith.
They're still kicking ass. Why are people bringing that up?
People want them to retire. It's not me. It's the people.
Oh no, no, they shouldn't retire.
Well, I think they should retire too.
What? Really?
I think they had enough. I had enough. I had enough of Aerosmith. What about Whitesnake? What about Whitesnake? Should they retire, Alan? I know you're a big Whitesnake fan.
Well, no, man. They can maybe do some more acoustic stuff, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, didn't Coverdale say he was retiring about 4 years ago?
Yeah, Ozzy said it a long time ago too, and there's No More Tours Part 1.
Well,
Guns N'
he's
Roses. They're still young, Guns N' Roses.
If his Parkinson's gets a little worse than it is, he's going to retire, you know?
Oh, here's a good one. Slayer should come out of retirement. Yeah, I think they're too young to retire.
Slayer?
Yeah.
Well, hold on? Would you have said that Zeppelin was too young to retire?
Led Zeppelin, you know what? As much as I was a fan of Led Zeppelin continuing, I was a big fan of that. Like, I wanted them to continue. But at the same time, I respect their integrity and their morality
Went
to
out
say
on top.
That's that. Yeah, they went out on top.
Slayer went out on top. I saw their last tour at Wacken. You know, that wasn't their last show, but it was one of the shows of the last tour. And, you know, Lombardo wasn't there. Hanneman's gone. But, dude, they fucking kicked ass, and I was so glad to see it.
Yeah, they played. I think they played their last tour. Everybody kind of saw them one last go around. Someone's calling me a killjoy because I'm asking bands to retire. I just think there's a time, a moment. Rush, as much as I love Rush, they should retire, and they have. I don't think they're coming back as Rush.
Again, there's also the difference when your catalog is worth so many millions of dollars versus everybody else that in order to eat and pay their mortgage, they have to play live shows, or they just you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so night and day, dude. I mean, Iron Maiden's guarantees are $1 million plus every night. Never mind merch.
Yeah, never mind merch. The merch, they make a killing.
You know, and you know, everybody else, whether it's 50 grand a night or 3 grand a night or 2 grand a night, everybody else, it's all relative. Whether you're teching yourself and you've got a front of house tour manager that's double duty, or you've got a bandwagon or an RV or a full-blown bus or whatever, all that shit's relative. But everybody else, dude, relies on touring. So even if it was like, yeah, they should call it quits, if this is all they know and they've ever done, they can't call it quits. They got to keep going.
On that note, Todd, on the next album, I want to see an epic 20-minute song on Queensryche. I was thinking about this last night. I texted you. I go, Queensryche needs a big song, like a 2112. That's what I'm hoping for. A 2112 Cygnus X1. That's what I'm hoping for.
Well, we did on Condition Human, the title.
Condition Human. Yeah, no. I'm more epic. I'm not talking about 7 minutes here. I'm talking about like 20 minutes here, like a whole side.
As a listener of music, I don't want to hear a 20-minute song.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Hey, you know what? We did our job. Keep them wanting.
You did a 7-minuter. You need to triple that.
Keep them wanting.
All right, guys. Such a pleasure.
It was fun.
Yeah, we're just chilling, hanging out.
And the next time we're in France, Chris, I'll get your contact if you don't mind from Jimmy or Alan. And and I'd love to connect with you when we're over there.
You guys, you ever come to the south part of France? Monaco?
No, I haven't been there.
Are you in Canes? Where are Canes?
Near Cannes.
I'm in Cannes. Monaco.
I
can drive to Monaco in 30 minutes.
Where we played Hellfest. Where is that in relation to you?
That's way north by Paris. I'm in the south, right by where Italy and Italy by Monaco.
Okay, that sounds really nice.
I'm in Cannes, where the Cannes Film Festival is.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Very cool.
Guys.
Anyway, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, Chris.
I know I got to go have supper now. I know
Thank you,
Todd
guys.
eats at what, 8 o'clock? You eat later on, huh?
All right. I hope.
Thank you. Stay safe.
All right.
What's that?
Yeah.
Chris, thanks.
I hope we talked the discussion right.
Oh, we just
good job.
overdid it. We overdid it. We
didn't make any what's better and what's worse, did we?
No.
Sometimes the journey is more fun than the conclusion, right?
I think if the fans go to pay for it, then they should keep doing it.
I agree.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Have a good one. Stay safe.